Hello everyone, welcome to the Geekdom, the place where we outcasts come to talk about the things we love. And today we're talking Star Wars, and this might be the biggest LEGO build I have ever done in the history of the channel. Today we're taking a look at my custom LEGO Senate. That's right, the entire Senate Hall that we see consistently throughout Revenge of the Sith and Andor. Anywhere in Star Wars you've seen this Senate building. It's all the rings with the pods and stuff. I am so excited to share this with you. But before I do, feel free to hit that subscribe down below. We're this close to 1,000 subscribers, so please do consider it. Anyway, let's jump right in to the biggest build I've ever done.
Okay, so we're going to start out with the Senate itself. Now, as I said before, this is one of the biggest builds I have ever done. And the reason it is because it's so repetitive. Now, I know that sounded a little bit boring, but it makes for some really awesome visuals. As you can see here, this render itself took forever because there's just so much going on. You can see every little pod has its own little minifigures and stuff like that. So if you've got a keen eye, you'll see a few references throughout this that you can, Star Wars references for the true Star Wars fans out there. Now, as you can see, it's built up with a few different sections. We have all the columns of the rows of pods, and then we also have Palpatine's stand. Now, due to the sheer size of the build and the sheer amount of man hours that it took for me to make this, there is only one custom minifigure in this set. I know, I haven't done a ton of custom minifigures. I know, it's very sad, but we've got Revenge of the Sith Palpatine. Now, this is one of the coolest looks Palpatine ever had. It's a lot more variety than he had in Return of the Jedi, which I really appreciate. It's got a lot of brown going on there. It's more of a maroon colour, actually, in the film. But the choice between this and like a dark red, the brown just works much better. So he's got his hood, got a brown hood, brand new face. I like to see it as like a midpoint between the sort of grey skin that he has in Return of the Jedi and the pristine Chancellor Palpatine face that he has in the start of Revenge of the Sith. He looks awesome. He's got a little gold clasp here, little roby things. It's actually the kind of the same fit that he wore when he fought Maul and Savage Opress in the Clone Wars. My Clone Wars fans will know what I'm talking about. But he is not the main attraction of this set. The main attraction is the build itself. Now, I did not know I could do that. So we've got Palpatine on the left, Palpatine on the right. Now, if I can just, it's wizardry. So this is the plinth. He has a little plinth. So he stands on there and he's like, "The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire." Right? That's where he says his big speech, and then, liberty dies with thunderous applause and all that sort of shenanigans. Now, the thing itself, kind of inaccurate, really annoying. Couldn't figure out how to do the little concave section. It's really annoyed me. I spent like a good few days just like engineering a few different variations of this. And while it's not entirely accurate, I am pleased. I think it does look quite Senate-y. It looks like the Senate building. And it's a really cool build because on top of this actual cylindrical platform here, that whole section is kind of built, half of it's built upside down and then attached to a really complicated section of Technic pins and bricks. It took me a while, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Now, the cylindrical section itself, as I will show you shortly, can come apart, which is pretty cool. But I will get to that momentarily. The real reason we love the plinth is his little pod thing that he sits on. Now, a few weird types of this build. The actual main section itself is built out of like a cockpit piece in a dark grey, which I think just works beautifully. And it's got some lights on there. Inside it's all dark red, as you can see. You can see on this image, he's got these sort of like red sections to stand on. Very regal, very Emperor Palpatine. His office is just full of all that red carpet and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to include that there. He's got all these little screens and blue things underneath him in that little concave, and he's got a place for two other people to sit. I was thinking about doing the blue guy with the horns, whose name escaped me at the time of recording. But he had like horns and stuff. He's Emperor Palpatine's guy. Basically the muscle. He's scary looking. I'll tell you for free. He's a scary looking dude. He also has that bald chick who's there at the Emperor. That whole situation. So they can sit there if you want to, or you could slap any of the thousands of figures that you can see in the background there. Slap Vader on there, for all I care. Grand Admiral Thrawn, Dedra Miro, anyone you like in there. So that's the plinth. the Emperor's plinth, which I quite like. Now, as I said before, it can come apart. Now, the whole idea for this set, I'm going to get that into that real quick. The whole idea for this set is you would get in a box what you can see on screen now. You would get all of this, okay? And you're probably thinking, Freddy, I think you're missing a couple of pods there, and you know what, viewer? You'd be right. You'd be so right that I think you should subscribe. But the point is, you'd get all this. And I know, I was thinking when I made it, I was like, that plinth is looking a bit tall, considering the rest of them. So you can take it off, which, do I have a picture of that? You know, it'd be great if I did. But yeah, so that can come apart. You can literally just take the whole top segment off and just plonk it down on the floor so that he's at level with the rest of them. So you'd get all of this and probably like a good few like Wookiees and Imperials and maybe Natalie Portman, you know, as the whole block of Senate. And you would get that in a box, and that's loads of pieces right there. I don't even have a piece count for just this. But there's a lot of bricks there, so I'm not sure whether it would fall under UCS, but it would certainly be a huge set. But the idea of this, the idea I've had, and this is why it's taken me so long, is you'd get this, but they would release battle packs. Now, we love a battle pack, okay? Sometimes you get clones, sometimes you get stormtroopers, but you know what you never get? Diversity. The Empire is not known for diversity, I'll give you that, but we never get a bunch of aliens. Now me, I like some random extras. I want to build up my displays. I don't just want... There's no Star Wars in my background. But I don't want any just like named characters over and over again. I want some diversity. If I'm building a display, a diorama, I want world builders. And this is where this comes in. So, par exemple, I'm going to show you the thing you would get. So, here is Mon Mothma to demonstrate it perfectly. You would get this in a small box on its own. Probably not just her, but let's say 4 Wookiees. You'd get 4 Wookiees in a box and this build. And what that means is you get a battle pack with just some little figures and a cool little build as well. And they would all, if you got as many as you could of them, you could clip them on top of the build we saw before. So you see these little parts here where my mouse is indicating, you can see that there's just studs there and some flat platforms. And that is where you can click on the actual Senate pods, and this will all sit on top of each other, and eventually when you get hundreds of thousands of them like LEGO wants you to do and you give all your money to the plastic brick people, you can have this wonderful display. That's my mentality on it. I think that's a really cool idea. Okay, so as Mon Mothma beautifully demonstrated there, you get this little block, okay? I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it is pretty cool. We've got space for minifigs to stand and these bar pieces for the pod to slide on. So we'll get the pod in a minute. But let me show you from the back. This is what we're looking at here. So we've got some corridors, we've got some doorways, and just a few little studs and stuff to make it feel a little bit Star Warsy. Sure, it's not the most glamorous, but it is basically a display piece. The real reason we love it is for the pod, okay? So I tried to get the pods as accurate as I could to what we see in the Star Wars universe. So this is a pod from behind. So we've got a little screen there, as you can see. We've got this little screen here because, you know, they all have those little screens on the pods where they can read off whatever they want to see or something like that. Or they can get a hologram up, whatever you want. I've gone for like the targeted computer thing because Star Wars. I've also got these little, as you can see, these 1x2 translucent yellow pieces, just for a bit of variety. They have these lights on the side of the pods in the films and stuff, and I know that a lot of people come up with like light kits and stuff for all of their Lego sets, so I think it's really cool to get everything lit up. We got these side segments here, and they were such a pain. Trying to figure out these little cylinders here, the biggest pain of my life, because they're at an angle on the one in the film, and it's just a pain. I really wish that I had finished the pod design and all that sort of stuff after Andor Season 2, because we actually got some really good looks at like the Imperial pods. They were a nightmare to make. But I like them. They've got blue flooring because these are the... I went for like a Phantom Menace era pod instead of like, or like Revenge of the Sith, instead of the Imperial pods we saw Mon give the speech to in Season 2 of Andor. So this is what your pod looks like. And I know what you're thinking. Freddy, that's a grey circle. And you know what? You'd be right, because they are grey circles, but the real charm comes from numbers and from minifigs, right? I'm going to show you once again, just to get you a little bit engaged, okay? Look at them. We've got Lando Calrissian in the background there. He's with his Bespin friends, and it just makes them pop. It's the colour of the minifigures and the just surrounding vibe you get when you get the full Senate Hall together. I love this. I think this looks really, really cool. Now, these images took so long to render that I don't have a great deal many of them. But what I am going to show you is the set itself. Now this, my friends, is the Senate. Now it's very, very janky because it's got so many pieces. It's making my computer overheat. But it, as you can see, is huge. You get a good bit of lighting on that and stuff like that. It's gonna really pop. There's a lot of beautiful things to love about this set. As you can see, they all stack in a way that it's like at an angle, so you can get that nice concave shape of the whole Senate, which looks really, really nice. I'm super pleased with it, and I think it's a really cool build. I know you're probably thinking, how does the mechanism work for the pods? And I was really, really, really passionate about making sure that they could come off, because the whole point of the pods is they float about so people can give awesome speeches, right? I needed them to pop off. So I've gone for a slightly different system that others might not have done, because it's not necessarily as stable, but it does work. So we've got these little pins here that are attached into the wall, which I know it's not super attractive, and I know a bar and clip would probably work as well, but I had to make it look as seamless for the pods as possible. So these things, they go into the holes that are on the back of these pods here. Right, so you see these bars here, they clip onto the back of these circles, and it just sort of rests. And that footway at the here, let me see if I can circle it with my cursor. That footway here, that also holds it in place. It keeps it sturdy, so the effects of gravity aren't going to do anything wrong either. And what that means is you can literally just slide off your desired pod, play about with it, and just slide it back on. As I said, not the most sturdy, it doesn't clip on, and if you bump into it, you're probably going to have some falling. But when you've got that giant Senate, and you're trying to remove the second from the bottom on the third row, you have to reach in. You're not going to want to yank off like a bar and clip. It's going to break the whole thing. So I thought it would be better to just literally, you can grab the front of the pod, slide it out. The monster that we created is Emperor Palpatine. You can do all your fun stuff, right? And I think that's a good system. Now the back wall isn't necessarily entirely accurate, because realistically, do we have many photos of the Senate's walls without the pods in front of them? No, we do not. But I did my best on the limited resources that I had, and I think it looks really, really cool. So people, say hello to the Senate. Now, I do believe that I'm going to be making some instructions for this one. I know I've said it before, I have a history of forgetting, but we are starting an Etsy, which is really cool. So I'm going to start an Etsy page, which will be linked eventually in descriptions, where I'm going to put some instructions, which will be really, really cool. I don't know if I'm going to do the instructions for the full hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I might just do pod instructions, and then you can pick and choose sort of thing. But we will see. But that's kind of the direction we want to go in for the channel. So if you are interested in those, there will probably be a link in the description very, very soon, which would be really, really great, and you'd be helping the channel a lot. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this build as much as I have. I think it's really, really cool. It took me a really long time. It's been an absolute passion project for me. If you have noticed any of the weird, wacky references in the background, feel free to comment them down below, because I'd love to see which ones you guys noticed. And while you're down there, you might as well hit that subscribe as well. We do LEGO videos all the time and some really awesome builds, and we are literally 40-something subs away from 1,000, which is mind-blowing. I've been trying to get there for about 4 years, so if you would, please just hit that button and help us get there. It would be absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time. May the Force be with you, always.